So welcome back once again. I guess today what I'm going to talk about is really, I would say, I wouldn't say it's my first lens that I picked up for the A7III because I did pick up the Sony 1.8 50mm first, but this is probably my favorite one so far, and it is the Sigma 24 to 70 f mount, or sorry, excuse me, Sony E mount 2.8 art. It's actually DGDN art lens. Uh, this thing really wasn't even on my radar when I was buying this camera, only because I was looking at the Tamron, and then they announced it when I got this camera, and I figured it was worth the wait. I'm kind of glad that I did wait. And speaking of that, when they announced it and when they started shipping it, it was already on back order. So it's kind of a pain to get. I actually signed up for a lot of notifications through Adorama and B&H and Focus as well. So as soon as they had it in stock, I wanted to get it. But I was a little bit impatient. So what I ended up doing is I called my local camera store, which is Mike's Camera. And they're a chain, and I think they're located in Colorado and California. And actually, I got someone on the line and asked them to check their inventory. And it just so happens about 3 hours away in Boulder, Colorado, they had one of these in stock. The guy said they'd put it on the truck and have it down here in about 3 days. And they did. So went to go pick it up. It was funny because when I got there, they had a hard time finding it. Someone had left it in a box at the bottom of some stairs, and the guy was getting ready to give up, and he went and checked there, and lo and behold, here it was. So when I bought this thing and I took it out of the box, the first thing I noticed was the quality. Without a doubt, this is the best lens I think I've ever bought and or used. The build quality of these art lenses are amazing, and especially, I mean, I compare this to my 16 millimeter 1.4 micro four thirds Sigma lens. That was my favorite lens. Uh, Granted, price wise, this is about $1,000. Or actually, no, it was $1,099 before tax, and that lens was about $400. I think I got it a little bit less because I actually got it on sale. But the expectation is that this one should be built better, but I didn't think it was going to be this much of an improvement between those two lines. So this thing is all metal. There's some rubber. There's very little. I don't even think that, okay, that might be plastic or some sort of polycarbonate. It's not cheap feeling by any means. You have your weather resistant rubber gaskets on the inside here. Um, you have this little button on the lens hood, which I had never seen, that you press to release this instead of just turning it. So I thought, well, that's pretty neat. In addition to that, you have a lot of different buttons on the side here. And what I've already done is I reprogrammed this autofocus lock button to actually do the APS-C crop mode zoom. So it's basically I'm getting two lenses in one. I've got this zoom lens that goes 24 to 70. I hit this button, and then at the 70, it actually jumps to about a 105, which to me, it's like I almost just added a 105 prime. Wait, don't get me wrong, decrease resolution because you're using that mode since you're cropping to an APS-C size sensor. But for me, for video, it's not really an issue. And even for some stills, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I thought that was a really neat idea. And the fact that I can reprogram this to do whatever I want is pretty cool too. You also have your autofocus, manual focus button. This is like upside down, so I gotta make sure I'm looking at it. Yeah. And that right there is just really handy because I love manual focus, but just being able to not keep my, or should not take my hands off of the lens to switch over uh, is just priceless. I think I probably would have paid just for that alone. And I've been using that quite a bit. And then you also have a lock button. And the lock button is really so this right here, you don't extend the barrel, um, accidentally. Over time, a lot of lenses will develop zoom creep. So what ends up happening if they're like pointing downward, it'll just start to open up on its own. And there are bands, they look like wristbands that you can actually put on your lens. Some lenses come with them. The manufacturer, not the manufacturers, the sellers usually throw them in, but you can put them on there to stop that. But this switch really serves that same sort of purpose. It just locks it in place so you don't get that. Uh, Thought that was a neat feature. There was one thing that I guess I had to plan for when I found out that it was going to be not a 67 millimeter uh, um, lens mount or thread filter mount, but this actually has an 82 millimeter filter mount, which means I didn't have any filters to fit it, so I had to buy new ones. But the cool thing about that is now I have gigantic filters that fit all my other lenses, so really I can just use a step down ring and use this filter, the filters for this lens for all the other ones that I have. So really not that bad of a deal. Comes with your standard lens cap, glass. I mean, this thing is just really amazing. I forget how many elements and all the technical specs that are in here, but I actually looked at all that stuff before I bought the lens. To me, the only thing that this lens really compares to is the GM. So your oh gosh, I can't even think of what the acronym means, but it's your Sony version, the high end G Master. That's what it is. G Master lenses. Now that one, back when I was looking at this lens, that was a $2,000 lens, and like I said, this is about half the price, same focal distance, and from what I've seen as far as the pictures are concerned and the reviews, these two are extremely close, and I would even say I would have a hard time justifying buying the Sony over this particular lens. They say in some instances the autofocus is a little bit faster with the Sony, but that's to be expected because this is a Sony body after all. But yeah, I don't regret this purchase at all. And then the Tamron, which is about I think $250 less, still a great lens. I could justify paying that much more to get this because number one, it has things like my switches that I really love, but it also gave me a wider lens, which is the 24 versus the 28 that I would have gotten with the Tamron if I had purchased it. And I mean the Tamron 28 to 75. So, great lens. Speaking of wide lenses, in addition to this lens, I also picked up the Samyang 18mm 2.8, which I'm shooting on right now. I'll probably put up a review on this lens as well. Funny thing is, because I kind of bought this one first and then I bought this one, I kind of got used to this quality, build quality, and when I got the Samyang in, big difference. And I'm not saying this lens is built cheaply, but the thing you have to consider is this is $1,999. The Samyang lens was $299. So there has to be a definite difference in the build quality because how do you justify going from that to this? And granted, this is a prime, so should be a little bit less, but I would like to believe that if I got like a G Master Prime, a very close focal length to the Samyang, it probably would have a lot better build quality. But so far, I've shot a few videos with the Samyang. I've been pretty happy with it, and I'll put up a review on it eventually. I have been doing some stills with it. I haven't been doing very much. Throughout this video, of course, I've been putting up stills of this. I'll put up some more about, it's just showing you kind of what I've done with it and what it looks like. But I've been really happy with the quality. Most of the stuff is straight out of camera. I used, I think, Aaron Anderson's profile to just, set up for straight or shooting JPEGs without editing. Because editing, at least photos, is not really my favorite. I still do it, but it just depends on what I'm shooting. But yeah, if you have any questions about the Sigma 24 to 70 millimeter 2.8 Sony E mount lens, DGDN, sorry, all that stuff's in the name, feel free to ask. Leave comments down below. Click like, subscribe, and I think that's about it. So Agent Fitz signing out.